Hi everyone. I just wanted to put this video out here, just so you guys could have an idea of like what's changed in the Steam market and what you should be looking out for, what you should be holding on to, and whether or not you should be selling your golds. Right now, we've got some changes that affect trade ups a lot differently. So I have a couple of examples to run through. The first one I'm going to be using is this UMP. The biggest change right now to skins is that if a skin is close to its float cap, it is now sort of more valuable. The closer you are to the cap of the float, the better, regardless of its spread, which is different to how things used to work. So with this UMP, for example, the closer we are to the float, we'll see that you're more likely to get an upgrade because this is now basically considered a factory new when it's used in a trade up. And that's the same for other guns like the Sakaku. And you can see here again, the closer we are to the highest possible float, the closer we are to factory new, basically. That's also now affected other things like skins that have a low float range with a high float, with a low float cap, are now a lot worse. So the anodized navy was typically used to bulk out trade ups and pull quality up, but because of that now, the new adjusted average float that you can see here on Trade Up Spy, which is the calculator I use and I'd highly recommend you do. Now, when we put in a lot of very low float anodized navies, we're getting a much worse outcome than we did before. And that's because of how these are weighted. So even though our average float of our inputs is 0.02, once we adjust it, this is like having a 0.25 float. So it makes a lot of skins that are sort of only limited to factory new and minimal wear not particularly useful because their values are basically spread across the entire range of the float. I do want to talk a little bit about the knife trade-ups, but before I do, I wanted to just sort of go over something before we get into them, which is how gamma trade-ups work. So Doppler that you can trade up into, which for now is only the Glock, comes in a variety of phases, as I'm sure you're aware if you're watching this. What that means is when you do a trade-up for a knife, you don't just have a chance of hitting a Doppler and then you get a random phase. You have a percentage chance to get each individual phase as a chance to trade up. So that sort of leads me on to the knives. So if you were to use 5 covert skins to do a trade up, in this example, I've used a bunch of neo noirs. And I think people are panic selling for seemingly no reason, because in this ideal scenario where you're using 5 of the same skin outputs, we're getting, I think I got my maths at 52 possible outputs. And this is sort of assuming an optimal trade up. Whereas I've got a second example here, which I think is probably a bit more realistic, which is skins from a bunch of different collections. And I've got this sort of estimated at about 156 different outcomes, which I think puts each knife or glove at about 0.6%. And if we were to include those Doppler trades that potentially widen that gap even more, you're looking at sort of 0.5, 0.4% chance to hit something that you want. And I think that's a good reason right now why you probably shouldn't be selling any of these, because they are going to start existing more and more as time goes on. But the odds of somebody hitting the exact knife that they want in these trade-ups is very, very minimal. And you're unlikely to sort of see things decrease in value as much as they have today. I think there's a lot of panic selling right now. And I think that if I was to be doing any sort of large scale selling or buying, I don't think I'd be selling my golds for as cheap as they're going right now. I'm seeing some that have dropped by as much as sort of 60%. Yes, more of them are going to exist, but with sort of these very low odds of, 0.5% chance of them getting the exact same skin that you're looking to sell, I don't think you're going to see a market hit that's going to be that crazy. So I just wanted to sort of get this out here, so that you could sort of see why I don't think it's a good idea to be selling right now. I mean, if you have any sort of counterpoints to that, or you'd like to tell me sort of why I'm wrong, feel free to. I don't make videos regularly, but I just wanted to get this information out there for sort of people with sort of smaller scale inventories, and people that might not have all that much and be worrying sort of, oh my god, do I need to sell my gloves or knives right away? And I think right now the answer is definitely no. I think these things will still increase in value, and right now is actually probably a very good time to buy if you're looking to buy anything. Thanks for your time. I hope you got some useful information out of it.